Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's stream for SRS Podcast Review. Today's a little bit different compared to other streams. This one's actually live, so we're going to change it up a bit, only for the simple fact that I could not get everything to run well. So what we're going to do today is we'll go over the actual study guide once more, and then we'll also take a look into some of the questions that you might see on the upcoming test. That way you guys, don't get any curveballs. But I'll also save some time to answer any questions you might have. This will take about 25 minutes, so about 15 minutes for the actual review itself, and then about 10 more minutes to answer any questions you guys may have. Please note that there's a small delay from the stream to what you guys are going to see. So I'm actually talking about 20 to 30 seconds ahead of what you're already seeing. But still, if you'd like to leave any questions, you just go ahead and put them in that little chat bar off to this side or that side, wherever you guys have it on your computer. I don't believe you have to be a member of YouTube to chat, but it will help. Don't worry about names or anything. You guys can ask questions at random. So the first thing that we'll talk about is going to be the actual vocabulary that you'll see on the test. So what we'll go ahead and do is I have the entire study guide right here, the one that I worked on as well. And we're going to look into some of these words. Now, remember that all matter is made up of these, and that would be your elements. Um, Also, utilize your book to the best of your abilities, as well as your periodic table of elements. So, um, all matter is made of these, and that would be elements. Number two, good conductors of heat and electricity would be metal. Metal are They are great conductors. Um, Opposite of metal in terms of conductors would be like rubber or something, kind of like a ground for a car. If you've noticed that they have those little rubber handles, because if you try to jump a car touching metal to metal, you'll shock yourself. So rubber in this case would be poor, metal would be good. So remember, metal is a good conductor of heat and electricity, which is also why if you've ever seen any videos or those old cartoons where they're heating up metal with fire and it turns red really quick and starts dripping. Same idea. Okay. Number three, subatomic particle that is found in the nucleus of an atom and a positive charge. That'd be a proton. Now remember, think about it along this lines: proton, pro, positive. Proton, pro, positive. Positive charge is a proton. Number four, a subatomic particle found in the nucleus of an atom has zero charge. That would be your neutron. So remember, neutron, neutral, zero. Neutron, neutral, zero. Okay. Number five, electron. A subatomic particle located far from the nucleus has a negative charge. Electron. Don't really have a catchy one for this, but as long as you remember proton is pro, neutron is neutral, you should remember electron as negative. Okay. Number six, the type of bonding that occurs when electrons of metals are transferred among a group of atoms. So they're being transferred constantly. It's kind of like a little back and forth they have going on. That would be metallic bonding. Remember, since metal is very dense, they have a lot going on, they can transfer really quick. Okay. Number seven, the type of bonding that occurs when electrons are transferred from atoms of metals to atoms of nonmetals. This would be your ionic bonding. Remember, it's kind of like that example we had in class. Think of the metal as the very friendly person, and the ionic person is not so friendly. So you have the metal sharing with the ionic, but the ionic's not giving anything back. It's unfortunate, but that's what happens in this type of bonding. Okay. Number eight, an atom that has different number of electrons and protons would be an ion. Okay. Remember that in a perfect world, these elements are going to have the same amount of their protons and electrons, but there are cases where you'll have all your protons, but not all your electrons. And we'll talk about that later on. Number nine, the type of bonding that occurs when electrons are shared between atoms of nonmetals and other nonmetals, or nonmetals and metalloids, and this would be covalent. So basically, metals aren't really included in covalent bonding. As long as you remember that, you'll be just fine. So ionic is where you have, I'm sorry, metallic is metal to metal, ionic is metal to nonmetal, covalent is nonmetal to nonmetal, or nonmetal to metalloid. Okay. Um, the most common compound on Earth is something we need: water. Um, that is definitely going to be the most common compound you find on Earth. Let's see. Number 11, the two most abundant elements in the universe would be hydrogen and helium. Hydrogen and helium. Okay. Give me 1 second, fixing up a dojo really quick. Okay. So, as we're going along through these, remember, if you have questions, use the chat box, and I'll get to them as soon as I possibly can, okay? Whether it be right now, during, or right after. Okay, so number 12 would be the elements that are, sorry, two elements that are liquids at room temperature. Those would be mercury and bromine. Remember, mercury is very poisonous. It was used way back in the day for thermometers, a very metallic looking liquid. Once they realized that they would start breaking and they became poisonous, they opted out of using those in thermometers. Um, but is mercury still used today? Yes, it is, for many, many different things, but nothing that can directly put people in danger, at least not to my knowledge. Number 13, two elements found in all organic compounds. That would be carbon and hydrogen. So we'll start talking about inorganic versus organic compounds. As long as you have carbon and hydrogen, it will be organic. But the moment one of them is missing, it becomes an inorganic compound. Okay. Number 14, how many protons, neutrons, and electrons does a hydrogen atom usually have? Now remember, hydrogen is element number 1. Um, it has 1 proton, 1 electron, but 0 neutrons. It's the only element that contains 0 neutrons. And then we jump to our next question, which would be list the 6 noble gases. So those would be helium, neon, argon, krypton, and krypton, xenon, and radon. Okay. Remember, if you have to, when you're studying, really use your periodic table of elements. If you note, it would be group 18, going all the way down: helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. Okay. There are some instances where element 118 can be seen as a noble gas, but it depends on who you're really talking to. Okay. Number 16, you are missing the words hydrogen and atomic number 1. That's what you're missing there. Number 17, you're missing chemical symbol O and atomic number 8. 18, you are missing element carbon and the symbol C. 19, you are missing helium and the chemical symbol is He, capital H, lowercase e. Number 20, I'm going to go left to right, or in this case, hold on, let me fix it this way. Left to right, top row, left to right, bottom row. I have to remember that everything's inverted. So if I'm saying left to right this way, I'm actually going to the right on your screen. But if I'm going left to right here, then it looks proper. So oxygen is O2. Carbon monoxide is CO. Water is H2O. Glucose is C6H12O6. Hydrogen is H2. Carbon dioxide is CO2. Excuse me, and hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. Now remember, hydrogen peroxide is what we need to clean cuts and, excuse me, clean clothes if they get very dirty. Kind of like a not as harsh bleach, basically. Okay, so then you should be turning your pages at this time, and we're on 21. Now, 21, what does subscript 2 represent in the formula H2O? The subscript will always represent how many atoms are present for that one element. In this case, hydrogen would be 2. 2. Okay, 22. Now, this was the one question that you guys got a little bit confused on because it was worded a little different. You will see something like this on your test, so pay close attention to how this goes. It's not going to be the exact same element. It'll be a different one, but it's one that you already know. Okay, so in this case, you're supposed to list 3 facts about subatomic particles of oxygen. Okay, so letter A, oxygen has 8 protons in its nucleus. B, oxygen has at least 8 neutrons in its nucleus. And C, oxygen has 8 electrons. So remember, 8 protons, at least 8 neutrons, and 8 electrons. Those are facts 1, 2, and 3. 8 protons, at least 8 neutrons, 8 electrons. Okay. 23. How is a molecule of an element different than a molecule of a compound? Remember, a molecule of an element has 2 or more of the same element, while a compound has 2 or more of different elements. So in this case, a molecule of an element would be H2, while a molecule of a compound would be H2O. Okay. Now you're supposed to classify the following elements as metals or non-metals. Your metals, going straight down the line, will be calcium, iron, copper, sodium, gold, and tin. calcium, iron, copper, sodium, gold, tin. Your nonmetals are helium, nitrogen, hydrogen, neon, chlorine, and oxygen. Okay? Helium, nitrogen, hydrogen, neon, chlorine, and oxygen. Okay? Number 25, write the chemical formula for the structural formula. So you'll see 3 circles with 2 lines in between each circle saying OCO, which makes this carbon dioxide, CO2. And number 26, why is carbon dioxide inorganic? Remember, I said we'd come back to this question, and now we are. Um, it is inorganic because it does not contain hydrogen. Remember, if it contains carbon and hydrogen, it's organic, but if it contains one of the two, it's inorganic. Excuse me. So at this time, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take about a couple minutes just to give a little heads up, just basic info that even if you're not watching today, you're going to get it, the info tomorrow prior to the test. So no need to worry. Questions 1 through 15 will be all multiple choice, okay? 1 through 15, multiple choice. So don't need to freak out there. Question 16, you're going to be taking a look at what a chemical formula is. So use that last page, 14, where you actually figured out what all these elements were, and then you actually not highlighted, sorry, you actually pasted the formulas on there. 17, 18, and 19, you're just filling in the information like you've done before. It's that little box where you had to fill in, let's say, for example, helium He2, just like that. Number 20 is going to be just like that oxygen question, asking for 3 facts. I can't give out any more information about that one, but just know it's an element you guys know very, very well, okay? Then 21, what you guys are going to go ahead and do is you're going to specify what what compound belongs to what formula. So in this case, if I'm asking you for water, the answer would be H2O. Or if I'm asking you for glucose, it'd be C6H12O6. Carbon dioxide, CO2. So for 21, make sure you guys really, really, really study, like I was telling you, this sheet back here. Okay, you should have all the information. We've gone over this already. You'll be just fine with that. Number 22 is asking specifically about inorganic and organic compounds, whereas 23 is asking about molecules of elements and molecules of compound. So basically, you've seen all this information before on your study guide. It's just going to ask you the questions in slightly different ways. So pay close attention to your study guide. Also pay close attention to that chart on the back of page 14. And to be safe, just go back and skim over the book, because a lot of the vocabulary that we've gone over that's been highlighted, you'll see it once more in the test, okay? So there's not going to be anything you guys should be surprised with. You know all of this information, and you guys are going to do just fine. Also, take a closer look at page 8 and 9, where it's talking about our compounds, as well as the different kinds of bonding. Now, the one piece of advice I can really offer you guys is just breathe and relax and have faith in yourself. Don't freak out so much because it seems like a lot of information. Chemistry is a tough, tough subject in science. The fact that you all are learning this quite early is a great thing that will definitely help you come middle school and high school. So, at this time, we have about 8 minutes left in the broadcast, so I'll leave it open to any questions that you guys want to send me via the chat. So at this time, if you have any questions, go ahead, send them on through. I'm going to turn up the music just a little bit so there's not that much awkward silence, okay? And just so you guys know, all the music provided today comes from Monster Cat. It's an automated DJ machine, something that doesn't give really vulgar music, but it's kind of, house and techno music. Just something different. Don't want to offend anybody, but if you don't like it, I can definitely turn it off, so no worries there. But yeah, go ahead. So, got any questions? Let me know right away. Okay, awesome. So the first question that we are getting is are there any trick questions in the test? Very good question to ask. As I'm looking over this, let's see. Now, there are not really any tricky questions, but I would pay close attention to molecules and their names. Um, that would be, like water, oxygen, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, glucose, hydrogen peroxide. Know those by heart, and you should be okay. But no, nothing really tricky. So, how many questions? Very good question asked. There will be 23 questions in total. Your multiple choice questions will be, let's see, 5 points each. And then everything else is either 3 points for the short answers or 1 point for the compounds and the facts. So no need to necessarily worry too much about them. You miss a couple here and there, it's like 3 or 4 points, but it's nothing too serious to where you're going to be losing 5 points here and 5 points there. Good questions. So we're coming in on 4 minutes left on the stream. If you have any questions, go ahead and submit them now. And just a friendly little reminder, I'm not too sure if it is going to save it on the YouTube channel, but if we're lucky, a replay of this will be available later on. Unfortunately, it will not have the access for you to leave a chat to let me know what questions you may have, so you may have to send this to Dojo. Nice headset. Thank you very much. It is a Razer Kraken. It's a gaming headset, but I've had this thing for a while, so it serves its purpose. So I got a message. How many questions? I answered this one earlier, but I'll go ahead and answer it again. There will be a total of 23 questions. All your multiple choice will be 5 points each. Question 16 will be 3 points. 17, 18, and 19, 1 point. 20, 1 point. 21, 1 point each. 22 and 23, which are short answers, will be 3 points each. All totaling out to 100 points. Good question. So I'm assuming you may have missed early on. Yes, there will be vocabulary questions, but they won't be in the same format as a vocabulary. They'll actually be in your true or false. So good question. Any true or false questions? Let's see. No, not for this test. No true or false. Strictly multiple choice questions with some fill in the blanks and some short answers. Are we going to be able to use pencil or pen? It does need to be pen. I don't really see anything that's going to need pencil, so we'll go pen for this test. Alright guys, we're going to come up to the last minute, so time to submit those last minute questions. Alright, it seems as though we're running out of time and no more questions are really popping up, so thank you guys so much for taking your time to come watch this live stream today. Something a little bit different. Hopefully you guys liked it, and if you do, we can continue doing stuff like this later on. Once again, thank you guys for joining, and we will see you all tomorrow. Have a good